Andy Ruiz is digging his heels in. He has refused to face Anthony Joshua in the UK. He's also now refused to face Anthony Joshua in Saudi Arabia. He says that the fight will happen, but only on his terms because he's the champion and he calls the shots, and the rematch will take place in the United States. I've seen some Anthony Joshua fans come out and say that Andy Ruiz is scared. I don't think he's scared, people. I think Andy Ruiz is a warrior, as is AJ. None of us are insiders in the situation. None of us are privy to the contracts. We're all just outsiders looking in. Let's get that straight, because there's a lot of people running around acting as though they got the lowdown on what's really going on behind the scenes. No, you don't. We're all outsiders looking in, trying to interpret words and actions. But as far as I can tell, Andy Ruiz's words and actions are not his own right now. I suspect that he's just a conduit for Al Haymon at this point. And that what we're seeing is a power struggle between Al Haymon and Eddie Hearn. I think if it was up to the fighters, this fight would have probably got signed a long time ago. You know, location and all that kind of stuff already agreed. But because you got this power struggle between Al Haymon and Eddie Hearn, it's got complicated. It's got political. Now, many are speculating about why Haymon is doing this and what the end game is. And again, my best guess is that he wants to scatter the belts. That's my best guess. That he's trying to long the process out as much as possible to the point where Ruiz starts getting stripped, because if he vacates, maybe that would be violating the contract. Al Haymon is a very experienced businessman. He's been in the music industry as well as boxing, working at a very, very high level in the United States for a long time. Eddie Hearn is a rookie in comparison to Haymon in the world of business. So Haymon knows the ins and outs. He's been in legal situations many times before, which is why when Eddie Hearn's been threatening legal action, I personally think that Al Haymon is laughing at the legal threats. I think Al Haymon wants all the smoke. I'm telling you, that's the way it looks to me. He's not the least bit intimidated. And I think Eddie Hearn knows that, because why hasn't Eddie Hearn gone ahead and hit him with that legal action? What's he hesitating for? I suspect that Al Haymon is trying to call Eddie Hearn's bluff. Either that or he's just trying his luck. I guess we'll find out in due course. Hey, I could be wrong about this. This is just my interpretation, and you can give your interpretation, but just understand it's only an interpretation. None of us have got the inside scoop. So that's my best guess as to what's going on. I think it's a power struggle, and some people are asking, what would be the benefit of Al Haymon scattering the belts? You know, how could he do that to Ruiz? Ruiz wants to be champion and this, that, and the other. Well, sometimes in business, the way that you win is by weakening your enemy, weakening your rival. And in this instance, it could be a situation where Al Haymon doesn't really care that much about Andy Ruiz in terms of, making sure he keeps all the belts. What he cares about is weakening Eddie Hearn. Not just in this situation, but in general. And if Ruiz was to get stripped of several belts, and then the Ruiz-AJ rematch goes ahead, well, what's it really for? There are other belts now out there which AJ doesn't have, even if he beat Ruiz in the rematch, which other PBC guys might be able to fight for. I mean, hell, Deontay Wilder might be able to fight for one of the vacant belts, even though he's already a champion. We saw Anthony Joshua fight for one of the vacant belts when he fought Vladimir Klitschko. Remember that? So maybe that's the kind of game that Al Haymon is playing here. And if it is that, it's going to be interesting to see how Eddie Hearn tries to counteract it. The IBF have said that they will sanction this bout between AJ and Ruiz as long as it happens by December 7th. I forgot to mention that in a previous video I did about that situation. If it don't happen by December 7th, the IBF are going to strip Andy Ruiz. Where's that belt going to go? Who's going to fight for that? The WBO have got this mandatory that they're putting on Ruiz at the moment, who's Alexander Usyk. The WBA, I'm not sure who that's going to be. But as I say, the WBO and the IBF, there's mandatories due. Only a matter of time if this gets longed out. Only a matter of time before they start stripping belts. And then is AJ even going to go ahead with the Ruiz fight anymore? You know? I personally suspect that that is the game Al Haymon is playing right now. and again, some are going to say, well, he's not working in Andy Ruiz's best interest. Well, duh. He's a businessman. At the end of the day, Al Haymon does have a good reputation among his fighters, but if it's his interests versus his fighters' interests, ultimately he's going to go for his own interests. I mean, Luis Ortiz had the opportunity of a lifetime to fight Anthony Joshua. $7 million, I believe it was. Turned it down. I mean, that's shocking, people. He may never see that kind of money again in his whole career. He's an old man. Turned it down. What kind of advice is he getting from Haymon? You know, who's Haymon really working for in terms of their best interests? His own best interests or Ortiz's best interests? I mean, even Deontay Wilder, right? Turning down $120 million deal. Obviously, AJ went and lost to Ruiz, so that deal would have been obsolete anyway. But still, who the hell would turn down that kind of deal? Who would advise Wilder to turn down that opportunity? It's madness. That opportunity may never present itself again. AJ may never be that cash cow again that can generate them kind of purses, that can, encourage DAZN to put up that kind of money. That may never be there again for Wilder. He was advised not to take the deal. So is Al Haymon really working in his fighter's best interest or in his own best interest? I mean, he can work in his fighter's best interest as long as it don't clash with his own. I suspect that's what it's like. And maybe that's the same for most promoters out there. I know Al Haymon is not officially a promoter, as idiots always want to remind me in the comment section. And I call them idiots because it's so obvious that, the situation with Al Haymon, we all know that he's not officially a promoter, but he tends to act in the capacity of a promoter or perform many of the same duties as a promoter. And many believe that the only reason he's not called a promoter is to circumvent the Muhammad Ali Act in the United States. So, yeah. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about this Andy Ruiz situation. I don't think Andy's scared. Andy's a warrior. AJ's a warrior. It's just the businessmen, Eddie Hearn and Al Haymon, are going at it right now. And I don't believe that this contract is as legally binding and watertight as Eddie Hearn says it is. Maybe I'm wrong, but I personally don't believe it, because if it was that watertight, I don't think Team Ruiz will be acting the way they're acting right now. And maybe it is that watertight, but the legal battle. You see, sometimes I'm no lawyer, but sometimes in legal battles, somebody gets involved in one, not because they think they can win that legal battle, but because they just want to keep their opponent occupied for a while. Take them off the chessboard for a little bit. Tie them up. This is what some people get involved in legal situations for, not because they legitimately think they can win it. They just want to buy time. They just want to mess the opponent around and deplete some of his resources. So even if the contract is legally binding, maybe that's what Al Haymon is doing. Anyway, let me stop going around in circles. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. It's Hammond, I'm out. Join me on Patreon. I upload a minimum of 2 podcasts every single week, covering a wide variety of controversial topics, as well as live stream Q&A sessions. Take a look on screen right now at some of the podcasts I've produced so far. For just $3 a month, the equivalent of about £2 a month, you get access to all my new podcasts and my entire back catalogue of past podcasts, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet by downloading the Patreon app from the Google Play Store or the App Store for free. The Patreon app also allows you to download each podcast in MP3. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to dozens of hours of exclusive content. It's easy to sign up, there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.